Art. And here is our official welcome. We're very happy to host this session. We have Kristen De La Fuente here, who kindly joined talking about synthetic personas. Kristen is a personal friend of mine, but luckily this year I saw her presenting at the meetup, Design Thinking meetup in Sydney, and she was talking about synthetic personas and in design, and I'm like, Chris, we're doing the same things, we need to chat. So thank you again, Chris, for joining us. She has an amazing experience. She'll be introducing herself very, very soon. I'm Juliana Prosapio. I am one of the founders of Echoes. And today we're going to be talking about synthetic personas. Can you see my screen saying synthetic personas? Is the correct screen that I'm sharing? Great. So drop a hello if you haven't yet. Say who you are, where you're joining us from, and your role. And welcome. Please tell us everything that you're thinking or all your experiences in the chat. We love to hear from you during the session. This is going to be a quick but hopefully very, very, very profound session together with Kristen. I'll do a bit of introduction. So I'm the chief designer at Echoes. I studied design and work with design for a long, long time. And together with me, I have Kristen. Kristen, if you could just say a quick hello, introduce yourself, and then I will follow up.
Thanks, Juliana. My name's Kristen. I have very broad, expansive experience in design and recently Gen AI. So I've been exploring that area. But yes, I'm really happy to be here and bring my knowledge to share with everyone else. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chris. And for those who don't know us, Echoes is a Desirable Futures lab. We work in different fronts with projects with the school where we're hosting these sessions, and we have Echoes Ventures as well. We help organizations and people to design desirable futures, and we believe a lot that design can create desirable futures, but instead of predicting futures, we intentionally speculate, design, and help activate desirable and strategic futures. So we work in between these three, let's say, arenas of design leadership, design intelligence, and design futures. And I think design intelligence is growing more and more with the advent of AI, obviously, and we're going to be talking about it a little bit today. We helped more than and worked with more than 70,000 participants in our courses and did more than 300 innovation projects worldwide. We're also part of the Global Design Thinking Alliance, an alliance worldwide where we study design thinking. We were the only ones who were lucky to join them, not being a university. We collaborate a lot with researchers and universities around the world. We're very happy to be part of that as well. And before we get started, we all invite you to participate in this quiz that we have to understand how do you interact with artificial intelligence. We've done a little bit of research last year and understood that there are possibly 6 levels that you can interact with artificial intelligence. You are either a passive user, where you don't really know that you're using AI. Maybe you use AI through Netflix or through Grammarly or through Waze, and you don't know that you're interacting with it. And the most advanced one is being an influencer, where you are influencing the future of artificial intelligence, how society interacts with it. But what we think is the most important one for innovators, designers, and leaders is to become an orchestrator, where we think there is a real strategic value within it. So there is here a keyword code if you want to see which level you are in. I'm also gonna put here the link for you to try if you want to see where you are. Usually people are in between 2 or 3, 3 or 4, and then ideally want to take you up to this level here of orchestrators. There are only a few people who are really, really, really influencers who are doing public policies around it. So if you try, please put in the chat which level you are. at, we would love to know. It's always good to understand where you are. At Echoes, we believe that there is this new leadership model where we're calling AI orchestration, where we need to connect people, processes, and algorithms. And we think that this is the new level of leadership, and this is impacting design and innovation processes a lot. And we think that AI systems are not just automating processes, they are making them efficient. They are enabling people and machines to collaborate in innovative ways. And this is what we're going to be talking today about synthetic personas and how we are using it and seeing it as well. And in this context, we think that leadership acts as an orchestrator and a continuous co-creation between humans and we need to create more like a repertoire or how to interact with these new systems. And we're also thinking that AI is not only a tool anymore here at Echoes. We think that they are creative entities or creative agents who take part in a process with their own perspectives and ways of thinking, doing, and being. And these create something like a creative symmetry between humans and these machines. And today we're going to be talking about a specific kind of creative symmetry that is about interacting with synthetic personas. So, without further ado, I would like to invite Chris a little bit more about you, who you are again, and share about everything that you have been experimenting with synthetic personas. I'll stop sharing so that
Thank
you
you.
can share from your screen.
Okay, 1 second. Perfect. Okay. 1 second. This one. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Juliana.
Full screen though, if you wanna.
Sorry?
It's not on full screen, just so that you know, but we can see it.
Oh, okay. Let me just stop sharing for a second. And I will. Sorry, I'll just have to drag it down 1 second.
That's okay. Don't worry. Take your time. It's interesting. We have a lot of people from Australia, Melbourne, New Zealand. We have a few people from the USA, Boston. That's
Can you
nice.
see that now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen. I am one of the organisers and volunteers at the Gen AI Lab in Australia, in Sydney. And we are a community-based, I guess, event coordinators, and we have events for Gen AI communities, and we also love to explore how Gen AI intersects with product and design. So I have big, long, broad experience in design, and I've been a digital product designer for over 10 years. So today I would love to share with you how I've been exploring synthetic personas. And what I'd like to take you through today is a bit of a foundational approach to building archetypes in readiness for enhancement. So although this is an exciting topic, and one thing I would like to highlight, and I will go on about this a little bit today, is it's all about the quality of the data that we use in our personas, because garbage in means garbage out, and that is the most important part. So what are synthetic personas? They are data-driven. They are artificially generated. They are user archetypes that tend to represent segments or target customer profiles. And they are usually built with, algorithms or large data sets, often involving a large language model like ChatGPT. You may have external knowledge sources from previous research or other artifacts, and you will usually prompt to get the output that you desire. So one thing to note that they are a broader representation. They tend to often lack human, the nuance of human behavior. And that's why I have been treating synthetic personas a little bit like, I guess, desktop research. Once you pair that with qualitative data, they can be enhanced and they can represent well. But it's good to understand where they should be used. And in scenarios where you have a tight budget, you might have time constraints, you may just want some foundational building blocks for a design sprint. They're a great artifact to have, but they should never replace human beings. So today I'll talk a little bit more about data and the problem, but I think it's important for us to understand the problem so we can be aware and look at how we can use Gen AI superpowers to help us tell the right stories. So let's talk a little bit about bias, and this is referencing some of the work that I did for International Women's Day, where we wanted to uncover how bias shows up in large language models. And this is one of the most important parts. So what we did is, and this is just a piece of research that I came across, but it's interesting. And the University of Washington team wanted to study open source large language models, and they wanted to do it at scale. So the researchers varied 120 first names associated with white and Black men and women across different resumes. They leveraged large language models like Mistral AI, Salesforce, and Contextual AI, and they asked those large language models to rank the resumes as applicants to over 500 real-world job listings. Now, as you can see here, the rankings, male was favored over female, white was favored over Black, and Black male was never favored over white male. Now, why did this happen? Because of the bias in the training data, and that's something that we need to be really aware of. And the tricky part is that bias often hides in plain sight. I have bias, large language models have bias, but if we acknowledge that it can hide in plain sight, we can take the first steps to ensure that we can try to mitigate its effects. And that's why it's so important to know about this when we're building out synthetic user personas. And so me being the curious cat I am, ran an experiment, and I wanted to see how it shows up. I wanted to understand how it can hide in plain sight. So I ran an experiment myself where I wanted to uncover bias in large language models. I ran that experiment with 3 different models, OpenAI, Mistral Chat, and DeepSeek. And I asked each LLM the same question with 3 different types of framing. And the first type of framing was binary. The second type of framing was inclusive. And the third type of framing was sort of non-binary and gender fluid. Now, I can't go into detail here, but I'll give you a very high level before we dive into the next part. And so the key themes that we can take away when we become more aware of bias is that when you frame in a binary way, the responses will be binary. Even with inclusive framing, large language models still tend to default to men versus women. and they systematically exclude non-binary and gender fluid and other gender diverse identities. So although this is really specific to gender, think about how this can be applied across all the complexities of humans. And so the second theme that I took away was really around embracing intersectionality and understanding how all of these different parts, class, disability, race, can intersect with gender. And we must remember to ask for layered perspectives. So a Black woman in engineering may face different biases to a white woman in engineering, for example. And the third, one second, I just have a drink. And the third theme I took away was that even though there's soft bias and it's wrapped in these disclaimers, the large language models are still reinforcing some of those partial truths. The other themes were around, maintaining ongoing monitoring and fine-tuning, being foster collaboration, and lead by example. So why is this important? Well, this is important because once we are aware of how bias shows up, and once we can take away the key themes and understand how we can use Gen AI superpowers to help us tell the right stories, we can improve the way we prompt. And that's why it matters. We must be explicit. We must call out. And because if we don't call out, the large language model won't call us out. So the great part about working in Gen AI is, you discover something and you want to, design and build a solution for it. And I'm at a point where I can build my own tools. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to build a partner, a Gen AI partner. And this is in the realm of a custom GPT. And this is foundational building blocks for assistants and agents that all built from these foundational building blocks. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to build a GPT that helps me analyze and enhance and explain question and prompt improvements based on human-centered principles, ethical AI guidelines, and fairness-driven best practices, ensuring that AI technologies amplify inclusivity rather than reinforce it. So when it comes to the framing of a question or prompt, I'll show you a quick demo and then we'll get to the personas. We will get to that. So let me just show you this. And my inclusive design partner is Kayam. Kayam helps design inclusive, bias-aware, and equity-driven experiences. There are a few quick links, and I'll just use the first example here where I want to frame up a how might we statement, and it's very broad. Kayam will play back what that question or prompt is. Kayam will call out what is wrong. Kayam will make me more aware of where my gaps are. Kayam will improve the version and explain why and cite the research. So now that we have a question or statement framed in the right way, I have another GPT that I use for my foundational building blocks for synthetic personas. And this might seem like a little bit of a magic trick, but there is a lot working under the hood here. And so when you use that inclusive framing here, And this is a good demonstration of what we call prompt chaining. And it's where you chain prompts together so that the outcomes are used for the inputs of the next prompt. And so it chains all the information together. And let's say in this scenario, you have clean data that you have provided in the knowledge base. It is using all that clean data and chaining it along the way. And there's a lot to take in here. But these prompts can also be used separately as well. So this is just for a bit of a demonstration. So we've got some of the research. We've got our ideal customer profiles, the juggling caregiver, opportunities. Then we step into our user personas. So all the information has been harnessed to then define those user personas. We start with the persona. We've got a conversational personality description of how you might interact with. We've got a day in the life story to start that narrative. And then from the narrative, we take those moments during the day in the life and we start to define our Midjourney prompts for storytelling. And then it just goes through every single user persona. And these are sort of the building blocks that I use to then take and, storyboard and create imagery and really bring those synthetic user personas to life. I think that's, I'll stop now, Juliana. I realize I'm over time.
That's great, Chris. Thank you for showing, Kim. It's amazing to see how you were using it, how you were experimenting. I saw it the other day, and I think it's interesting how you have been trying. You were telling me also some backstory, so feel free to share more if you like. And we're going to start now a debate. And please make your comments and your additional questions in the chat as well. Chris, you shared a little bit about Kim, and you showed at the beginning of your presentation a little bit about what you thought about what synthetic personas are. But can you tell us, think that you're going to be explaining that to someone who doesn't work in the area. What is a synthetic persona and how is it created, or how do you create it?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually, aside from traditional personas that are usually, created from qualitative data, synthetic personas are used. So you can use an agent, or you can prompt a large language model, and it will harness the amount of data, and it will base it more on like patterns in data. And so the patterns in data will then inform based on all of your research, and it will go down the different types of research, depending on what you've sort of input into the GPT. It will then define it based on sort of pattern usage, I guess it would say. So it's a great foundational base But when I was actually comparing, when I was first comparing, the outputs to my own outputs, I realized it's just, it really is quite foundational, and it lacks like observational, settings and the nuances around like human behavior. I find large language models tend to think positively on things and sometimes lack, mood and memory and how that can really affect someone's decisions. So it's really important to pair them both with each other to get a more enhanced synthetic persona.
And Chris, thank you for that. Why would someone use synthetic persona instead of speaking with directly with a? What I have been seeing is that it's a lot about obviously speed and scale. They can be created quicker than when timelines are tight or projects move fast. But I think this might be something that can be dangerous in some cases. But there's also a reason for you to create a synthetic persona, I guess, in terms of access limitations. Maybe it's hard to reach a specific user group, or due to geography sensitivity. I think it's also nice, like you were saying, to explore future or hypothetical contexts. They are useful for testing ideas and scenarios that don't exist yet. And they are very, very good for supplementing real insights, like you were saying before. Why would you use a synthetic persona? You showed a very interesting use case. Maybe you could explore why you use this one, but also in other applications, how would you use it?
I think synthetic personas can be used in different ways depending on what your skill level is as well. So if we think about someone more junior or mid-level, synthetic personas could be used for training and education and helping someone learn how to become a better researcher. They can be used if you don't have access to the type of audience that you're wanting to reach out to. Like you said, it can be, you might have really tight time constraints. You may be in more of a conceptual design sprint where you just want some sort of foundational building blocks to help you sort of ground things on, some high level research. So I guess it depends on, yeah, it does have a lot to do with time constraints, but also just building out those foundational building blocks to look to enhance it in the future as well. And it can help you brainstorm on the go. It can give you some really great feedback mechanisms when you're wanting to design and iterate before speaking to real users as well. So it can be used in tandem with speaking to real people, for sure.
Thank you, Chris. I think there are a few questions here. Elsie is asking if there is a publicly available custom GPT used for persona creation. I don't know if Kiam is publicly available. Is Kiam? I don't know.
So Kiam is the GPT I created to help improve the framing for inclusivity. So Kiam is available, and you can go and use Kiam in the GPT store. The Persona Foundations GPT is something that I created as part of, exploring and learning how to chain prompts together so that you have that ethical kind of decision chain running through it. That's currently not publicly available, but you can use Kiam.
Thank you, Chris. I think that's nice because it's something that you have been experimenting. We can also all experiment that. There is some other questions that I think it's connected to this one about the precautions that we should take when using synthetic personas in projects. There is a question here from Scott that it's more specific, and maybe you can answer or we can debate a little bit. Scott is saying, where is the data coming from and how was it cleaned to reduce bias? And where/how is it stored when we create synthetic personas? And then Tally's asking, how have you accurately verified accuracy of synthetic personas? If you have you have tested them in the field and see how they are applied and behave in real world design processes. So these are, I think this is connected to this question here. So I don't know if you want to, I mean, I know that we are all experimenting, so we don't have finite questions about it. But maybe you can share a little bit from your experiments, Chris, and I can share a little bit from here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was initially testing out in early stages, when I was testing out synthetic personas, there's two parts. There was the foundational synthetic persona I created based on the data that I had at the time. So I was working with a startup founder. They had done some research. I was leveraging ChatGPT to create a foundational user persona, synthetic persona. I also ran my own research. And the interesting part here was that working with a founder who was building a product almost for himself. So he was using himself as, you know, that particular persona. But when I was out on the field and I was observing, it was a very different approach, because there were compliance. So I was observing people who were collecting trolleys at the supermarket, and the difference was the synthetic persona I created based on the information that I had at the time was biased, because the founder was basing it on himself and he had information, but it was all outdated. And so when I went into the field, I realized that the compliance issues around using, you know, certain devices, there were different types of ethnicities who were trolley collectors. They were doing things in different ways. So it was really about taking that foundation, but also going, okay, I want to go and do my own research. I want to observe. I want to go out into the field and I want to understand. That is where the nuance came in, and really where I understood the differences in the synthetic, but also the observational as well. And I think the second part was when you interview a synthetic persona, the way a synthetic persona can articulate responses is very different to how a human can respond. So some humans, you know, depending on your personality, you may just have one or two, you know, word responses, where when I've tested before with synthetic personas, can go into a long narrative, which isn't really how humans respond in a natural sense. So it's good just to understand this and always sort of, you know, use personas as a foundational building block, but enhancement through, you know, human interaction.
Thank you, Chris. I think I have a slide here that I think it talks a little bit about that I wanted to show that I think Chris mentioned earlier as well, and I think it's related to what the story that she was saying. And I think this is a reference from Stuart Winterter in a presentation, that when you have trash data, you end up having trash output. It doesn't matter what kind of large language model or Gen AI or agentic AI that you are building, if you don't have good data that are I think based on real interviews, or that you are feeding it for your synthetic artifact, I think it can be a little bit it can play on the downside of these two, right? I think that sometimes we need to understand that desires are subjective and contextual. You really need to complement your interviews with synthetic data and with synthetic personas. And I think maybe what we have been doing, that I think it might be interesting, because there is one thing that maybe what would be interesting to share as well, that I maybe shared here, is about what is this where is the data coming from. So when we talk about synthetic persona, the official way to do it is to have artificial data as well. And this is where I think it can be very, very tricky. And I think how you twist that what I have been doing as well, and what I like to do, is something that you use real research to feed a simulated conversational AI persona. So what we have been doing with, maybe it's not a synthetic persona, maybe it's a simulated empathy interface, but I think it works really well when you get a real research from qualitative interviews, observations, surveys, distill the insights, the patterns, the needs, the pain points, and encode them into a GPT, a conversational agent, something like that. And then you use this to simulate a dialogue, and then you can ask questions. And then I think it's very interesting for you to test ideas, to kind of test more, you actually add more questions and things like that. Someone here asked, and I don't know if you have tested, this is something that I'm still wanting to do, that we were just planning this week at the office, that we want to create these simulated empathy interfaces, do a test of a solution there, and then go back in the streets and test with real people and see how it would be different. I haven't done this yet, but I think this is the next step, that what we want to do. I don't know if you have, Chris, please comment if you have, if you're thinking about it. Tell me what you think about it.
I'm always wanting to compare. That is something that I would like to do as a next step as well. It's yeah, I'm always running the comparative analysis across human research and synthetic research as well, because that's how we understand and continue to learn.
We have a few more questions. Let me just go back and see if I can find more questions. We have one more question that I would like to ask you. That is about, it's very related to what we were discussing, but still, I think I would like to see your point of view, Chris, and from everyone here. Please put your comment in what you think about it, because we're still all experimenting and all learning. I really like what I heard the other day from the head of AI within design at Microsoft. He was saying, look, everyone is more or less invested in studying these for only 3 years. No one has more experience than 3 years when it comes to Gen AI. So this is something that we're all experimenting, and we're all together in this. So please bring your perspectives as well here. I think this is an open debate. Chris, how much do you personally think, and from your experiments, from what you have been doing, how much would you trust a decision based on the synthetic persona?
So I think it depends on where you currently are in the project. So I wouldn't say a decision, like maybe a perspective. I think it always needs to be paired with the human perspective. You always need a human in the loop. And I think that goes for anything when you're, integrating Gen AI into workflows or using it for different reasons. I think it's always important to have a human in the loop that can justify the decisions as well. And I guess it depends on what information has gone into that synthetic persona. So if you're aware of the type of information, the type of data that has been fed into the synthetic persona, I think the confidence levels will vary depending on that.
Oh, great, Chris. There is someone here, just or Jason wrote the challenge with the caveats we designers place around synthetic persona is that non-design folks may see the real value in the save time on research. How do you navigate this? Or is synthetic personas a reasonable response to the fact that there is not much budget for researching projects nowadays anyway? I'll do a quick comment here because the other day, Ricardo, who is a co-founder with me, and we were discussing with a friend. He's a researcher in the AI space for a very long time. He's one of those who are in the influencer level, let's say. He has been studying AI in the health sector for, I don't know, 20 years or something like that. And then we were discussing about it, about these aspects of synthetic data, synthetic personas, and these kind of things in projects. And he said, his analogy, thank you, Fabio, for that. His analogy was so good. He said, look, would you be willing to use a medicine that was only done and developed using synthetic data? And I don't know, would you? Would you all use a medicine, a new type of medicine that was developed only using synthetic data? No real humans in the loop.
Mm.
I personally probably wouldn't. Maybe if it was a very extreme situation, I would, but I probably wouldn't. And I think when you put this context, it makes you feel certain that this is not the correct path. So
Yep.
maybe for smaller, let's say, context, not smaller, but maybe less complex context, you shouldn't be using only synthetic data and synthetic personas as well. So Jason, I always use this analogy nowadays, and it helps me convince people when I explain this way. And look, we are doing a course, the Design Thinking and AI course, and we're always putting these very big marks that you shouldn't only be using synthetic data or synthetic personas, but everyone gets so excited because it saves so much time when we show this kind of analogy. They understand. I think that we need to be very aware as designers because it's very attractive. And it's fast. There's a lot of speed. It seems it's very for marketing people. It might be very interesting in a way because it's fast, but it's not the best. And for me, I was putting here earlier as also something that for me, I was just doing this analogy the other day myself. That synthetic data might be something like processed food. There are just less nutrients in it. If you are really, really hungry, you don't have any time, maybe you do it, but you should do it once, not for your whole, you're not going to be eating these every day. You shouldn't, because it's not going to be healthy enough. And you wouldn't be feeding these to your kid or for offering to populations without warning, right? So I think this is something that we need to consider. Chris, please step in and tell me what you think about it. This is my personal opinion. It's not reflective of Chris as well. I don't know.
Oh, no, I totally agree. I always come back to the human in the loop, garbage in, garbage out, absolutely. And I think that's why it's really important to understand, the quality of the data going in. So that's why you need to run your own experiments like I did with for International Women's Day, understanding how bias shows up, understanding how information is fed through, understanding what dirty data looks like, understanding what incomplete data looks like, and sharing that. I think that a lot of people, there's a lot of noise out there, and the more voices that we can have who are sharing these comparisons can really help inform others who are making decisions or trying to convince stakeholders about, just because this is easy, this is not the way to go. And also like the thing about large language models is they have very logical, they have a very logical viewpoint, and humans aren't. They've got a lot of nuance. They promote creativity. They spark innovation. So when you think about it long term, you might find that, okay, initially having this fast food will help us speed ahead, but strategically long term, you really need humans in the loop to spark that creativity and that innovation that will keep you ahead of your competition. So that's another aspect to think about as well. But yeah, I totally agree. Just like synthetic processed food, human in the loop the whole way.
We are coming to an end. I just wanted to bring, because we were talking a lot about synthetic data, synthetic personas, and all the caution that we need to have when dealing with those new artifacts that we're able to use in our projects. I wanted to hear a little bit. We didn't agree on this question, so you can skip if you want, Chris, as well. You can say no, haven't thought about it yet. But I wanted to think a little bit about the future, and where we're heading. I am very worried and at the same time very excited. I have been doing a lot of experiments and using it in many projects. But I think that in the future, we're gonna be using more and more synthetic data, whether we like it or not. And the reason why I think it, I'll try to explain, is because we're gonna be having more and more products that are gonna be AI based in their core, right? And we're gonna be receiving data points of interactions of the machine with users every day and every millisecond. And as humans, we're not gonna be able to process it. So we're gonna have to rely on synthesis of AI. And then this will become synthetic data at some point. And then we're gonna be looping in our perceptions from it. So I think that in the very near future, these will become more and more common, because we won't be able to process all the data that we are receiving from the products that we are developing and using with the advent of AI, that being agentic AI or non-agentic AI, doesn't matter. So I wanted to hear a little bit about your perspective on the future, where we are heading with the use of AI within design, and with the use of synthetic personas / synthetic data within design.
I think one thing that has surfaced recently is that AI will become our users. And so that's an interesting perspective to have. I haven't thought that deeply about the future of, this loop of synthetic information, but that is something that has sparked my curiosity as well around what happens when we're designing for our customers or our users who are machines or AI, or, so that really does, that does spark a lot of thought provocation, definitely. And then, it does make sense for in the future, it will become more synthetic. But that's a really interesting point, Juliana.
We're yet to see, right?
We are yet to see.
And we're building this future while we go. I think this is something that we designers, we're very much aware of it. I wanted to thank everyone who joined us. Chris, I don't know if you wanna share any final remarks about this conversation. It was really interesting. Thank you so much. I saw your first talk, and then this one you evolved, and I'm always learning from you. So thank you so much for joining, and thank you for everyone interesting comments in the chat. Check it out. I don't know if you want to say something. Please do promote your work as well feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, thank you for having me. We will be running our own sort of exploration around telling human stories in a free webinar on next Tuesday. And this is more on the tool side. So it's how you actually story tell using visual representation, taking those foundational building blocks that I showed you today, and actually bringing some of those synthetic personas to life through Midjourney, through storyboarding, through different styling, and even into video creation as well, and maybe even sound. So we'll be exploring that, and yeah, really excited to share with the community. So please join and look up Gen AI Lab.
Thank you so much, Chris. So check out Gen AI Lab. I also wanted to share that we also have a course. It's on design thinking and AI. Our next cohort in Sydney will be in June 20th. We still are in early bird until the end of this month. So if you want to join, don't wait too long because we still have early bird until the end of the month. It's gonna be course, immersive in person at the CBD in Sydney. We'll be exploring the morning AI as a creative partner, and then in the afternoon, we're going to be creating solutions using AI within design thinking. So make yourself, let us know if you're curious. We'll be happy to have you. This one is in person. It's not here, but in case you are, if you are not in Sydney or in Australia, we have also a new course, Design Leadership in AI, where we have some of the most talented and interesting people working in this space. So it's going to be an online program on design leadership. It's a 3-week starting in July 8th. We have people like Joanna Pena, Pip Shi from CSIRO Australia that's working with responsible AI. We have Ines Poggio, and we have Roger also from Chai. So we have very interesting people who are working in this space. This one is going to be online, live and online. So depending what you're interested in, this one is more, the design thinking and AI is more AI within the design process. And then the other one is more about design leadership in the age of AI. What is the next steps that we need to have in orchestrating our new teams? Because it's not only going to be humans, it's going to be more than humans. So it's going to be a very different kind of leadership. Someone is asking me, will the slides or yes, Benjamin. It will the not the slides, but the recording, yes. Thank you again, everyone. Chris, if you don't want, don't do it. Leave your LinkedIn profile on the chat so that people can reach you out, or Gen AI Lab website, whatever you want, please. Thank you everyone for joining. It was a very interesting session. Thank you, Chris. You made it very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Oh, we still have people joining. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your night or day. Chris, this was very, very nice. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Juliana.
Have a good
Take
day.
care. Bye.
See you all. Thank you.